guys let me know if you like this. The first thing I want to talk about is Jake Paul versus Mike Perry, which was very entertaining. And that's really what we're looking for, right? We're looking for entertainment. Um, and, it's kind of funny that someone like Jake Paul, a non-boxer, a guy who started in YouTube or Vine, something like that, or Disney Channel. I think it was Disney Channel first, and then went to Vine, then YouTube. Um, and I actually have a video that I did that I made about a year or two ago, somewhere around there, where I talked about the future of pugilism and how the future of pugilism or the future of boxing was going to be independent fighters facing each other, and those fighters were going to be promoted by corporations, similar to King and Ashura. So, for example, Jake Paul would be promoted by YouTube because that's where he comes from, and Ryan Garcia would probably be promoted by something like TikTok. I mean, not TikTok. What was it called? Damn, I forgot. What's Instagram? Yeah, they become promoted by Instagram because that's literally where he started to get famous at, was Instagram. And that's basically what I thought was gonna happen. Of course, my prediction hasn't come completely true a year or two later. It's still kind of in the middle. Gimmick fights are still popular. And me personally, I think that's fine because at the end of the day, we're just trying to be entertained. We want to see, a fight. And the thing is, sometimes the more educated a boxer is, the less they engage because they know the consequences of violence way more than someone who doesn't dedicate their lives to it. But getting into the fight, guys, between Mike Perry and Jake Paul. Jake Paul has way more experience in the ring, in the boxing style, and he's just, listen. Boxing is one of these sports that if you dedicate about a month or two to it, you're gonna be better than 99.9% of people that don't know boxing. Especially if you go to a gym that knows how to teach you good fundamentals, good footwork. And I'm talking about good footwork, not simply staying on the outside. That's just an element of footwork. So when people hear footwork, that's why I don't like to use the term footwork, is because people think, like I said, footwork is staying on the outside, dancing around, doing the Ali shuffle, and breakdancing pretty much. But the truth is that footwork encompasses more than just staying on the outside, more than keeping your distance. So it also encompasses jamming your opponent. It also encompasses, triangle theory, in the context of boxing, of course. It shows you how to cut off the ring. Shows you how to make your punches stronger. It shows you how to diminish your opponent's um, power, and how to maximize your own power. How to shift your weight so that you could, um, maximize your power in short ranges or long ranges. So, footwork is a lot of those. It's a lot of things. It's not just staying on the outside. That's what the one of the fallacies of boxing, of the boxing community, is that they believe that footwork is simply, staying on the outside and being on the back foot constantly. That's not the case, guys, and that's why I personally prefer to call it positioning rather than footwork. And the reason I praise boxing so much out of most martial arts, it's because boxing studies the art of positioning over most of all the other things they study. If you think about it, boxing only has a couple of attacks. Right? It has a jab, a straight right, a hook, and an uppercut. Right? That's four. So let's go jab, straight right, hook, uppercut. Right? And now you could just switch them up. So left jab or left hook, and the rest are variations or mixtures of both of those. Right? Um, so the weapons for a boxer is not that many weapons. It's very um, simple method of boxing. But where most of their work goes into a boxer is in the art of positioning, where you're going to position your feet to be safe, for your body to be safe, where you're going to position your feet to create an illusion like you're reachable, but really you're not reachable. Where can you position yourself to where you could jab your opponent to death, but they can't even touch you, they can't even reach you. So many things. Where are you going to cut off the ring? Like, these are things that boxers study since day number one, right? So that's what they focus the most on, because their weapons, like I said, are only as powerful as where they're standing in accordance to their opponents. For example, like some of y'all still may not get it, so I'm gonna give you a better example. And I always think that boxing is the microcosm of the macrocosm, and I like to use examples outside of the ring to explain things in the ring, and I like to use examples in the ring to explain things outside of the ring. And there was a famous war that happened, or a battle rather, that happened between the Spartans and the Persians. And you've all seen the movie 300. A lot of people talk about that battle that happened between the Spartans and the Persians. Of course, a lot of things have been changed. A lot of things have been exaggerated to make people look like more of heroes and other people more like villains and whatever. But the point is that historically, or from what people know, Persia was the better army. Persia was the bigger army. Persia was the more technologically advanced army, and the Spartans were not. The Spartans only had, one weapon. That was the spear and the shield, and that's what they mastered, right? But in order to win a fight against opponents that were greater than them, they had to choose their positioning in the battlefield. And by choosing a strategically advantaged positioning in the battlefield, they were able to defeat a larger army. And that's the same thing that happens in these combative sports, guys. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, if Mike Perry would have been able to not use gloves, he would have probably won. Or if Mike Perry was allowed to use kicks, he would have probably won. And the thing is, people that have more become more lazy. Okay, you know more combos, you know more things, and a lot of martial artists do that. They make that mistake that if they know more, they believe that they're better because you know more kicks, because you know more combos, because you could spin around in circles, that you're going to beat a guy who knows less. And the problem with that is that while you're studying all of those moves, there's someone who's studying strategy and who's studying positioning. And you're not going to be able to get off your combos because he's going to be using the art of strategy even when before you sign the contract. He's going to be outmaneuvering you, outflanking you. And that's why boxers, in my opinion, are one of the guys that, one of the martial artists that show the true example of the art of strategy, the art of positioning, like Miyamoto Musashi. Because once the contract is signed, and even before, they're already strategically positioning themselves in a way to where they can get the best outcome. Now, of course, I do criticize this a lot in this channel, and I do say that being strategic is bad, and that it's killing boxing because nobody wants to fight each other, and that is true. Because at the end of the day, this is an entertaining. It's a sport, an entertaining based sport, entertainment based sport. There you go. And we want to see the fights, so there is a certain level to strategy to where it could be too much, right? But at the same time, from all the martial artists that I've seen in the world, be it in MMA or in um, Brazilian Jiu Jitsu or anything like that, I truly do believe that boxers are probably the ones that study strategy the most. And if you have the mentality of a boxer with the abilities of an MMA guy or the abilities of whatever martial arts and again, I say to most martial arts, I'm not telling you to negate the martial arts that you started with. Like, for example, I started with Taekwondo, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to eliminate Taekwondo. First, at the beginning, I was like, yeah, Taekwondo sucks because I got beat up by a boxer. But you gotta hold on and slow down. Don't be an extremist. Don't think in extremes. Don't be like it's either one thing or the other. If you blend the two and use boxing concepts with the kicks that you learn in Taekwondo, then your kicks will become way more effective. Why? Because you're going to be in position to throw the best kicks. You're going to be in position to throw whatever strike you learned in those other fancy martial arts. Because that's what boxing does. Boxing is the key to becoming a better striker, in my personal opinion. And I'm not saying that MMA guys don't study that. There's a few of them that do. A good example is John Jones. And a lot of these are going to be, if you notice, a lot of these are going to be wrestlers. And like I said before in other videos, wrestling and boxing are very closely related. They're like brothers, these two. So this is why it's so easy for a wrestler to just pick up striking, because their positioning is key to them throwing good punches, to them always being in balance, to them always being in position for a throw, for a grab. So that's all I'm saying, guys. And proof of that is when you see Jake Paul, and you see the fact that Jake Paul is not a professional, and you see that Jake Paul has probably less time practicing boxing than most of the MMA guys that he knows and that he has beaten, then you start realizing how effective boxing is, and you start to realize why it is. It's because they're studying positioning and the strategy of positioning within the ring and out of the ring. And that mentality will get you success, in my opinion, 95% of the time. Of course, nothing is sure, guys, in life and in boxing, in any martial arts. But that is my view of this and just Jake Paul in general, the way he beats up all of these MMA guys. I know the easy thing to say is to say, oh, it's because these MMA guys, they're not used to boxing. But I feel like if there's examples of people that are boxers and successful MMA practitioners. And one of them is Holly Holmes. Okay. And now ask yourself, what does Holly Holmes study? She studies boxing and kickboxing. And the number one thing that she knows is the art of positioning. So while everybody else is learning cool combos and learning, how to do spinning back fists, how to do all these cool elbows and stuff, you're going to study where to position your feet within a fight and what strikes are effective in what areas in accordance to your opponents. Meaning if the other guy has a combo that he wants to do, he's never going to get to do it. He may get one punch in it, but then the other punches, they're not going to be there. They're not going to be there for them. So that's pretty much it, guys. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.